Can that be seen? If I got
All
this
right.
right.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is Dina Shepard with Alterra Consulting. And for those of you that are new to our webinar sessions and training and who we provide private duty non-medical home care and senior living consulting services for businesses that are in their early stages of planning to get into home care business, and for those that are established businesses and looking to grow and continuously learn about the industry and stay on top of best practices and resources that they can utilize. And this morning we are graciously in the presence of Miss Carol Dell, who is a National Director with Veterans Benefits Aid Council. And she's going to talk to us about VA disability benefits. And Carol, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the company and this amazing program we're getting ready to take part of this morning?
Okie dokie. Thank you, Dina. That was a gracious intro. I am the director for Veterans Benefits Aid Council, and we actually are an independent law firm that only practices VA law, which makes us very unique. We have a singular focus and a singular mission, and that is to help veterans receive the benefits they're due. We are not financial planners. We are not insurance agents. We aren't going to practice elder law. We stay in our lane. And as this webinar unfolds, you'll see why that becomes really important to families and why it's actually really important for your reputation. We all do business on a handshake and our reputation. And as they say, good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. So your resources that you use in your business that you share forward with families need to be performers. They need to be proven. And above all, they've got to be a really strong and positive reflection upon you, because that's how you grow your business, and word of mouth is really important. So you don't want to use a fly-by-night or something that continually fails when it comes to a resource. And you want someone who's going to talk to you and keep you in the loop. I have been involved with working with veterans for a short of 10 years now, and love this attorney and his office and his staff. They're just phenomenal. And later in the PowerPoint, I'll shed a little light on exactly who he is so that you guys can feel really comfortable in what we do and how we do it, and that we are squeaky clean. So this is kind of a primer, meaning it breaks things down to some really basic, bare bones stuff. So for those of you who are really in the know on veterans benefits, I apologize. Some of this will be information you already have in your noodle. For those of you who are unaware of how veteran benefits work and how to use them, this is going to be a great starter for you. So this is it. No matter what you've heard, this is the law. There are only 2 disability benefits administered by the VA. One is called non-service connected pension. You often hear it called basic pension, or you hear it called improved pension. The next one is service connected compensation. That's it. Those are the only 2 disability benefits available to veterans. You can't use them simultaneously. You have to pick a path, stay on that path. If you want to walk a different path, You have to give up what you had on the previous path. You can't mix and match these. We here at BBAC, our job is to help determine what is the best path to walk that's going to create the most income for you to help pay for your care. After you qualify for one of those basic benefits, either it's disability benefits, either service connected or the basic pension, you can have special monthly benefits added to those. Housebound, the biggie, aid, and attendance. And then there's another one, special loss, that would be anatomical body parts, ankles, foot, fingers, legs, things of that nature. But aid and attendance is not a standalone program. You have to qualify for one of the other, basic pension or service connected, and have aid and attendance added to it. If you can't qualify for one of the other ones, you can't get aid and attendance. So let's get service-connected compensation out of the way, because you don't bump into that very often in y'all's walk. You primarily bump into veterans that are going to be eligible for basic pension. But I want you to understand service-connected compensation. Not so that you're an expert or a pro, but that you just kind of have a basic foundation and you recognize it when you hear it. So what the heck is service-connected compensation? So it's the benefit that a veteran receives when they have suffered an injury while they were on active duty, or they were actually accepted into the service with a pre-existing condition, and that condition has become excessively aggravated due to their service. So at 100% service-connected disabled, that is a lot of money for a veteran. If you can get to 100% disabled, that's about $2,900 a month income to that veteran. It's literally almost twice as much as what you can get under pension. So it's important to know who you're talking to and if they're already receiving a payment. Disability ratings, you typically go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 on up the scale as far as the rating you're giving. And there's a dollar value associated with each one of those percentages. So, for example, if you're given a 10% rating for hard of hearing because you were a gunner, that's only $136 a month. But you're going to get that $136 a month, month over month over month. It's going to auto deposit into your accounts. Nice little piece of money. However, if you need to move into assisted living and you need additional dollars, that $136 under service-connected compensation isn't going to stretch your budget as far as it needs to go. So this would be a veteran we would talk to about handing in that $136 or his service-connected rating and walking the path of pension plus aid and attendance, because pension plus aid and attendance is $1,830. But they can't keep the $136. They've got to hand that in to get the $1,830. Now, if they're at 100% and getting $2,900, we obviously are not going to advise this veteran to hand in $2,900 and come off his service-connected disabled rating and go on pension plus aid and attendance to get $1,830. That's crazy talk. We're not going to do that. we're always looking for the highest remuneration for this veteran. So I'm going to stop right there and see if you have any questions about service-connected compensation. Okay. So, again, I don't want you guys to be experts. I just want you to feel comfortable in knowing an expert who can step in and walk a family through this, trusting that we are going to do no harm, meaning we aren't going to lose this family any money. We're going to look at their whole picture and figure out what we can do to create more income for them. So if you are 100% service connected, remember aid and attendance can be added to that. If you're 100% service connected, we can actually have the aid and attendance benefit added to that $2,900. And it usually falls between $500 and $700 a month. So this particular veteran, their income has gone up an additional $500 to $700, with the addition of aid and attendance to their 100% service-connected disability. So what you guys hear out in the walking world, in civilian land is what we call it, is you need to go get aid and attendance. You need to go get aid and attendance. That's actually not the real name for the benefits that families are going for, and we understand that, and I want you guys to understand it, and it's okay to call it aid and attendance. We know when families call us and they're talking strictly about aid and attendance, what they're talking about, and so we guide the conversation. So you can continue to call it aid and attendance because you're not going to ever get people to stop that. But I do want you to understand what the true name of the benefit is and how it truly functions. Also, the benefit can go, basic pension plus aid and attendance can apply to a single veteran, a surviving spouse, a married couple, meaning one side of that marriage, one of those is a veteran, or two veterans married to each other. So the primary differences here are, if you're service connected, you don't have to slot your service into very distinct, recognized periods of war, which is what happens under basic pension. Also, there is no age requirement for service connected. You can be 22 or 92. And there's no income limitation for service connected disability. You can be poor as a church mouse or filthy rich. They never and cannot look at your income for service connected disability. Mind you, it's extremely difficult to get service connected. Basic pension, you've got to slot your service, your active duty service, into very specific dates that were recognized by proclamation. Also, you have to have clear medical evidence that you need assistance, and it is directly tied to your ability to demonstrate a limited net worth. That is the difference between these two programs. So to qualify for aid and attendance, the add-on, aid and attendance, you've got to meet 3 criteria, and we're going to call them 3 M's, and they're in a very specific order, because if you can't skin one, the other 2 become moot. The first one is military. When was your active duty service? And it must fit within certain time frames, and it's 90 consecutive days with one day falling in that time frame. And I'm going to show you the time frames here in just a minute. If you cannot prove that right there, the discussion's over. There's nowhere to go. There are no benefits available. If you can prove that through a DD 214, then we're going to talk about medical drivers. You've got to have a physician-supported medical evidence that you need care. And if you don't have a physician that fills in a particular form correctly stating that you need assistance with ADLs, this claim will stop right here. You've got to have medical drivers. If you prove military and you can prove medical, then we're going to look at monetary. Remember, pension plus aid and attendance is a safety net program. So you've got to be able to demonstrate a limited net worth, and there is no magic number. The $80,000 that you guys hear bounced around all the time is a myth. Right now, in law, there is no magic number. So we're going to look at monetary issues. If you can get those three items lined up, holding hands simultaneously, guess what? Benefits are on the other side. These are your dates. And remember, we're still talking about pension plus aid and attendance. We've kind of moved off of service connected. These are your dates. 90 consecutive days with one day falling within the stated time frame that you see there. The only weird thing about these dates is the Vietnam era has been divided into two very clear sets of dates. Vietnam 1, in order to qualify, you must have been boots on the ground in Vietnam or brown water Navy. And when I say brown water, I mean rivers, lakes, tributaries, things of that nature. We also keep a ship's list in the office, and we can look up the ship you were on and see if you were brown water. So we're doing a lot of check-in and double check-in and recheck-in to make sure that we don't let a family that possibly could qualify slip through a crack. We're checking everything we can check. The laws changed, and with the latest conflict, which started in 1990 and is still going today, the requirement changed to 2 years of active duty. What is the evidence required? Your DD 214. If you do not have a DD 214, don't panic. We can order these. We order them all day long for families. There's no charge for this. It's a courtesy. You will bump into individuals out there that will charge anywhere from $75 to $150 to order discharge papers. Personally, I think that's shameful, but that's my opinion, and it's worth what you paid for it. We do this for no fee. We do it as a courtesy. When we get them, we keep a copy, and we send the family a copy so they don't ever have to look for these again. So a surviving spouse, and I'm not quite sure why surviving spouse issues get really confused. It's one of those things you kind of talk yourself out of what you know things. The more you think about it, the more confused you get. So just remember that the benefit is for a surviving spouse. There are no disability benefits for an ex-surviving spouse. So let's define that. The surviving spouse must be able to produce the veteran's discharge papers. They were married at the time the veteran passed. Therefore, they are the widow. the surviving spouse or widower, you need to produce a marriage certificate, not a license. A license means you applied to marry, but doesn't evidence that you actually carried through with the ceremony. And a death certificate. On the death certificate, their surviving spouse is named. If the surviving spouse's name is not on that death certificate, you are not the surviving spouse. So what does this mean? If you divorced the veteran, you are not their surviving spouse. You are an ex-wife or an ex-husband. There aren't any benefits for you. You divorced your right to that. So I'm going to stop there. Any questions about what a surviving spouse is and the evidence they've got to be able to produce? Someone was talking and I didn't pick up on it.
So,
Dina, are you hearing the question?
so there's no way that the ex-spouse will ever be able to prove that they deserve the benefits of the surviving spouse.
They divorced the veteran.
Okay.
Now, if they remarry and they remarry another veteran, they can claim on the second marriage.
Oh, wow.
But if you divorce the vet, that line of pursuit is over. If they remarry another veteran, then they can claim on the second marriage. But you can't go back to the first one. That's done. You divorced him.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about medical evidence. And this is, I'll be honest with you, the VA is getting tighter and tighter and tighter on what they consider an ADL. And gosh, 5 years ago, medication management was an ADL that they counted, which made really good sense when you consider the number one reason our vets end up in ERs or our surviving spouses end up in the ERs because of medication mismanagement. And it would be a real cost saver for everybody, the veteran, surviving spouse, families, if we can keep them out of the ER. But they withdrew the medication mismanagement as an ADL, which I know is crazy, but the VA doesn't always make decisions we agree with. So medication management is not a qualifying ADL. Sad, but true. A diagnosis of dementia, because if you have a diagnosis of dementia, you probably need assistance with at least 2 other ADLs. Being legally blind usually dictates assistance with 2 ADLs, but we're talking very narrowly defined ADLs here. Standby assistance with bathing or showering, meaning someone can be in the general vicinity every time you shower to make sure if they call out, they get immediate help. Or it could be hands-on. It could be assistance just getting in and out. Standby or assistance with dressing, that can be tied to assistance with buttons, belts, zippers, shoes, shoelaces, diabetic hose, socks, poor clothing choices. If you have dementia, it may be 80 degrees outside and you're putting on 3 coats, or it's snowing outside and you put on a sleeveless blouse. Making sure that you're making good clothing choices and that your appearance to the public is clean, tidy, respectful, and presentable. So maybe you need help with some personal hygiene issues, teeth brushing, hair fixed, shaving. So assistance with dressing ties kind of hand in hand with personal hygiene. The other one is assistance with incontinence concerns. If those aren't addressed timely or appropriately, then you end up with a burned backside and you're in the ER potentially with a UTI. As we age, and I may be preaching to the choir here, but once you get to a certain age, if you get a full-blown, really awful UTI, one that'll hospitalize you, those UTIs tend to become more frequent and difficult to manage as you age. So it's something it feels like, particularly to the senior, it's something they're continually battling. And of course, you all know a UTI untreated has literally the exact same symptoms of dementia. So if you already got dementia and you have one of these, things can get out of hand quickly. If you don't have dementia and you have one of these, a UTI, families start getting very concerned about dementia concerns because this is not how mom normally acts or dad normally acts. So if you've got an incontinence issue going there, that qualifies. Assistance transferring, getting up, getting down, getting in, getting out, getting from room A to room B. You're a fall risk or a potential fall risk. You're using walking aids, canes, walkers, rollators, wheelchairs. Doesn't mean that every single time you get up you need help. The VA says that these ADLs are delivered on a regular basis, but they do not define what regular means. So they're not dictating daily 4 hours. It might be 3 days a week, 2 hours. It might be just in the mornings to get this person up and going. And once they're up and going, they do pretty well. So the VA doesn't define what regular means. The last one is assistance with eating, literally down to holding a utensil. It could be you have Parkinson's and your tremors are really, really bad and you have a hard time getting food to your mouth. Or it could be a dementia concern where you're just skipping meals. You can't remember if you ate, or you ate and you forgot you ate, and someone's having to cue and remind you to come to the dining room, or literally calling you on the phone. Mom, I said, lunch is in the front of the fridge. I need you to go get your sandwich. Cues and reminders, up to direct assistance. I'm going to stop right there because this ADL issue can get very confusing for families. And I don't want you guys to be confused. Any questions about how the VA defines an activity of daily living?
Yes. So is it only inclusive to what you've already listed here? So there's nothing else only specific to these items here?
This is it. This is what triggers the benefit.
And nothing else outside of this here?
Nothing outside of this will trigger the benefit.
Okay, thank you.
So let's drop back. Remember, I said medication management won't trigger it, which is, like I said, crazy, but it's the VA. Meal preparation will not trigger it. Laundry, housekeeping, straightening up, cleaning, changing beds, doing laundry, cleaning bathrooms, kitchens, cleaning out refrigerators so you don't have rotten food in there, transportation to and from doctors, running them to a Alzheimer's support meeting, transportation services will not qualify. None of these will trigger the benefit. They help support and evidence your claim, but if this is all you're doing, you will not be awarded. Always really important, guys, in your business that you're looking at ADLs if you want this benefit to come into play. Now, you can be doing ADLs and all of these also, but when it comes to the VA, they're going to zero in on the ADLs. They're glad you're doing these other things. And like I said, it's helped support the claim, but it will not prove your claim. The 2 ADLs prove your claim. And it has to be medically substantiated by their physician. So are we good to go with this? Because this gets muddy. Okay, good deal. All right. So 3 years ago, there was a look back proposed. Much like Medicaid, it wasn't 5 years, it was 3 years. Currently, that is not the law. They also proposed a bright line in net worth, meaning you can have so much money in your piggy bank as far as assets. That also is not law. So today, there is no look back, and there is no bright line as far as what you can have in liquidity. So let's talk about this $80,000 that you hear all the time. And let's step outside of the box and think rationally and look at this number and realize why it doesn't work. These benefits are available to 65-year-olds all the way up to 100 plus. If you're 65 years old and have had a catastrophic stroke, and you're going to be in assisted living or you're going to stay at home with home care, you're going to live probably 10 to 15 more years versus someone who is 93 who has a litany of aging issues and only going to be in statistically home care or assisted living maybe 2 years before they pass. Is it really fair or even rational that the 92-year-old would be allowed to have the same liquidity for their care as the 65-year-old? No. The 65-year-old is going to be allowed to have significantly more in liquidity than the 93-year-old. Literally, it's tied to age. So it wouldn't be fair to say at 65 you're allowed to have 80, and at 93 you're allowed to have 80. So that $80,000 number that you hear floated out there is a misreading of the manual. And remember, there is no bright line in law right now, as of today. That could change. They've been threatening to change it now for 3 years, but it has not changed. So don't get hung up in this 80,000 stuff, okay? You let us handle that. We've had 65-year-olds that were allowed to have well over that amount. And we've had 93-year-olds who could only have $10,000. So 80,000 is not a magic number. How do you demonstrate a limited net worth? You don't have to worry about it. That's our job. We're going to look at bank statements, receipts, and tax returns. We're going to get in there and dig around and make sure that on paper, this family can demonstrate a limited net worth to bring them in to the VA definition based on their income, their outgo for care, and their actuary, meaning their age and how long they're expected to live, and how much money they're going to be allowed to have after that. Let me stop there. Any questions about this $80,000 number? Cool. All right. Married couples. The benefit runs through the veteran side of the married couple. So if the veteran is married and the veteran needs help and the math lines up, that's potential for full award. If the veteran and his spouse both need care, potential for full award. If it is not the veteran who needs care, but the spouse, the benefit gets significantly reduced. When you're looking at married couples, unlike Medicaid law where you can kind of carve one spouse away from the other and protect one spouse's income and some assets, not true with the VA. Both of their income goes into the bucket for consideration. Both of their cost of care goes into the bucket for consideration. And both of their net worths go into the bucket for consideration. You cannot carve one spouse away from the other. Everything gets thrown into the same bucket and stirred. This is completely different from Medicaid law when it comes to married couples. Can you have a married couple where one is on Medicaid and the other one isn't and still qualify for benefits? Yes. So if your spouse, mom, is in a nursing home using Medicaid, that doesn't stop the veteran from filing for his benefits. Can you be on benefits, VA benefits, and come off and transition to Medicaid? Yes, you can. But you cannot, as an individual, access full VA benefits and Medicaid simultaneously. Those are two federal programs, and you will not be allowed to double dip both of them at maximum levels. Any questions there? Okay, so these are the amounts of the maximum award of pension plus aid and attendance. So it's a pretty good bit of money, and it's actually the perfect amount of money to help them pay for care. It's tax exempt. These funds, by the way, are not in lieu of your current income. It's in addition to. A lot of families that come to us for some reason think they lose. We've actually had veteran service officers tell families, you will lose your Social Security. That is not true. You will not lose your income, your current income. This is added onto it. So if you'll remember, the very first slide was there's two benefits. One is basic pension, one is service-connected disability. So, service-connected compensation. So we're going to get into how you layer on so you can visually see what happens and how the money is created. So all basic pension means, literally by definition, is the VA made a promise to our veterans and their spouses. If your income ever falls beneath this stated dollar amount, we will pay the difference. So if you're a veteran and your income ever falls beneath $1,097, we will make up the difference. So if your Social Security check is $897, they're going to write you a check for $200, no questions asked. This part is not tied to any medical drivers. Basic pension is specifically tied and directly tied to your income. So if your income falls beneath these stated numbers in this column right here, they're going to pay the difference. If you need care, that's the aid and attendance part, you need a third person aiding and attending to your personal care needs. This is the actual dollar value of the aid and attendance benefit that gets added to basic pension to equal this amount. And this is the maximum for 2018. So you're thinking, how in the world do you get to the total? If your income is over $1,097, how in the world do you ever get the benefit? Aha. Not your job, our job, but this is how we do it. If you need care and the cost of your care meets or exceeds your income, you now have a negative or zero income. So if your income is $2,200, but the cost of your care each month is $2,400, you have a negative $200 in income. Remember what the VA said? If your income ever falls below $1,097, we will make up the difference. So you have a negative income. They're going to pay you this $1,097 because that was the promise made, and because you have the medical evidence and the monetary evidence, clearly if you have a negative income, for the need, we're going to add this $733 in aid and attendance to the basic pension to equal a monthly payment of $1,830. So you can get a prorated amount, meaning you can get less than $1,830 if your income is $2,200, but your cost of care is $1,800. A sufficient amount of your income has been eaten up to trigger the aid and attendance if you've got the benefit, but maybe just a portion of the $1,097. Remember, they're paying the difference. So you can get less than $1,830. Maybe that award is $1,600. You can get anywhere from $1 in award to $1,830 in award, and anything in between. Can't get more. Does that help visualize how this works and how we get families eligible for the basic pension first? And then we add aid and attendance to it. You cannot file for just this number, this aid and aid. You have to qualify here first and have this added on. Any questions about this? All right. Remember when I said you can't walk both paths at the same time? If a family is service-connected compensated, they're already receiving money from the VA now, walking the service-connected path. Do not tell a family they can get this amount of money in addition to what they're already getting under service connected. Families get really angry at us when we have to tell them, no, you can't get this added to what you're getting today. One of them's got to go. And then they get really angry at who told them that. Because they're counting on money being added into their kitty that will never be added into their kitty, depending on which path they're on. So as opposed to setting a family up with an expectation that's unrealistic, just say, hey, sounds like to me you might want to look a little further into this. Can I have this group call you, or can you call this group? And let's see if there's more money available to you. Because we'll do all of this math and figure out exactly if this family is in a position to access more benefits or not. And that way they're not angry at you for setting them up with an expectation of funds that are not there. That comes back and bites you bad. I'm just telling you. We inherit more claims than I would care to admit that have been denied. And when I say inherit, meaning we did not originate the claim. We inherit it from VSOs, financial planners, the VA. The VA makes errors all the time. They have a unique math. 1 and 1 does not always equal 2 in VA land. Why? I don't know, but it's true. And they'll just deny a claim. And it's completely 100% mathematical error on the VA's part. But families get that denial letter and they believe it. If you have a family who has ever been denied benefits, please let us review it for accuracy. We get these turned around all the time to award. But families don't know. They believe what they're told. It doesn't cost a family a penny out of our office for us to review that denial and make sure it was accurate. If it's wrong, let's fix it. Let's get them the money. The errors happen for a lot of reasons. A lot of families file for the incorrect benefit. Primarily, this happens actually through our VA medical centers. Oh, we can help you. And 9 out of 10 times, the VA medical center files for the wrong benefit for the family. Happens all the time. You may be dealing with someone who doesn't file claims all day long every day, and so they're just not as knowledgeable or experienced as they should be. And they throw a half-baked claim up to the VA and hope it sticks. Well, it doesn't. And families can wait 9 to 12 months, financially hemorrhaging, to get a denial. Really an unfair, and it's personally, I think, an ethical issue on the individual who tried to manage that claim. So I have tried to reduce a really complicated topic down to what is in the scope of things is just a small number of slides. And we didn't even touch on them because I don't want to fill your head with details that really aren't important to you. Trust, though, that we know all the nuances, we all know all the pitfalls, we know all the twists and turns, we know all the difficulties, we know where all the landmines are buried. And we're going to do the right thing for this family to get them a benefit if they qualify. And we're going to fight for them. We're advocates for them. There is more misinformation out in the general public than there is reality. We hear it in our office every single day. Well, I was told this and this, and you just want to put pins in your eyes because nothing could be further from the truth. We don't expect you to become an expert, and I actually advise you not to because there's a lot of liability and legal issues tied up in VA claims. You don't want to set yourself up for a liability issue or a legal concern. So don't spout off with legal opinions like, oh yeah, you'd qualify for sure. You actually, in the eyes of the OGC, just gave a legal opinion, whether you know it or not. And a family who gets denied based on what you said can actually file a complaint against you. So be careful with your word choice and stay liability free and safe. Now, it's our job to protect you if you decide to use us and keep you out of a liability concern. You let us handle that. We'll carry that ball. But don't be running around telling families, oh yeah, you'll get 1830, and it turns out their service connected is 100%. They're not getting 1830 in addition to that. So be cautious. Admit, I'm not a VA pro. Hey, but I work with this group. You'll love them. They do a great job. They're going to give you the low down dirty and tell you exactly where you are, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. We're going to be brutally honest with families so they don't feel like they've been lied to, taken advantage of, and they know exactly where they stand so they can make good care decisions, because that's the right thing to do. Our attorney that owns our law firm, his name is Henry Fincher. This is a lot to read, so I'll just hit the highlights. He is VA accredited by the OGC. He's licensed by the Supreme Court of Tennessee. He's extremely talented. He's a Harvard grad. He can argue in front of the United States Supreme Court. He's a past judge. He was a state representative. Has a lot of accolades in the lawyer world. He actually is an elder law attorney, but we will not practice elder law under Veterans Benefits Aid Council. And we're so squeaky clean about this to make sure that there's no conflict of interest or no perceived conflict of interest. If a family needs an elder law attorney, we will not take that client on under an elder law attorney basis. We actually will tell that family or refer them to another elder law attorney. We will not mix these businesses. It's unethical because elder law attorneys function with billable hours, and Veterans Benefit Aid Council does not. So we keep our businesses completely separate. The majority of the time, if a family needs an elder law attorney, we're actually going to refer them back to you because you may have an elder law attorney that you have a good working relationship with, and you're trying to grow that relationship. So you need to have the opportunity to refer that family to a local elder law attorney that you have had good success with as far as maybe writing wills or advance directives and those kind of things. So we're not going to rob you of the opportunity to deepen your relationship with your referral sources that are local to you. Just know that we're not going to practice any elder law with anyone that's referred to us for VA benefits. We're just not going to mix that business. We're going to refer them back to you if they need an elder law attorney. We're going to stay in our lane, focused on VA benefits and VA benefits only. I would be disingenuous if I told you we've never had a claim denied personally that we originated, because we have. However, I can honestly also tell you that the denial came from the family not sharing full financial disclosure. And the VA has the ability to electronically talk to the IRS and Social Security. And the VA found $62,000 that this family did not report to us, even though they signed an affidavit stating that the statement, all the information was true and accurate. Clearly, it was not. So we went back to the family, asked them about the $62,000, and their response was, we didn't think it was important. Well, that means we issued a legal opinion on false information. And so the benefit was denied. Now, we actually still have this family in a holding pattern because they're spending that 62 down, and the time will come that they actually will qualify and will get it reversed. But we have had claims denied 100% tied to not having honest information at the time of filing. We are readily accessible, easy to work with. Families can call us anytime. Any of the paralegals in the office can access their file if they just have a simple, easy question. Any of the paralegals can help. Our attorney has security clearance into the VA programs, which is really helpful, and it keeps families from losing their bashoogies. Every single month, we look at the status of the claim, what's going on with it, so that we can keep the family updated. It's the not knowing that drives families crazy. And you can appreciate that because they're counting on this money. And if you refer to whatever resource you have and the family can never get them on the phone again, and they can't get the VA on the phone, and they have no idea what's going on, and you're rolling into month 6, and the money's flowing out the door, and they're in a financial hemorrhage, you have a family who is on high emotional octane, and they're mad at everybody. We try to keep that from happening. So one, they're not angry at us. They know exactly what's going on with their claim. So they have a comfort level. They have security. They feel good. They in turn feel good about you. It's coming. You're taking care of their needs. We're helping with the finance side. We're talking to each other. Everything's cool. It's when you stop and there's a breakdown in communication that families start losing it. We are not financial planners. We're not going to do any financial plannings. We have no products to sell a family at all. So you don't have to worry about that. We're not going to talk about buying annuities or insurance policies or any of the other game plan that goes on out there. Not our wheelhouse, not our deal. Not playing those games. So how do we earn a living as a law firm? Well, the OGC ruled and said, prior to becoming a claimant, it is perfectly A-OK for a family to seek legal advice on eligibility, meaning am I eligible or am I not? Am I wasting my time or am I walking a good path here? Those questions come before you are a claimant at the VA. We charge a one-time lifetime fee of $700 for positive legal opinion, meaning we gather up the evidence, we look at the evidence, and if our attorney says, yep, you've got everything we need here to file a positive claim that will result in an award, we're going to render you a positive legal opinion. Yes, there's a benefit on the other side of this. That's going to generate our $700 one-time lifetime fee. If we tell you no, there's no claim here. We do not charge our fee. We don't give you bad news and then bill you for the bad news. So our fee only comes into play if we know we've got a great case. Our office handles the preparation, the presentation, the prosecution of the claim, and it must be done pro bono. You cannot charge legally for claims work. Major no-no. All correspondence, if you move out of home care into assisted living, you change home care agencies, your cost of care increases, your cost of care decreases, someone passes away, you lose your spouse, and you need to disclose that, you want to change your banking. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything involving this claim, we do pro bono for the claimant's lifetime. We never charge another penny to this family. They are not in any financial risk to talk to us. There are out there, and we run into them all the time, just to have a conversation on this topic requires a family to pay upwards of $750 to $1,200 to $1,300 just to have a conversation, and it's non-refundable. Personally, I think there's an ethical concern behind that, because if the conversation is, well, I'm sorry, your service dates don't work, that's $750 plus that you just paid to get a big, fat, juicy no. Non-refundable. Something's wrong with that picture in a big way. Families can do this for free. They can go to va.gov, download the forms, and go at it. They can go to their local county veteran service office. Have them do it. You guys need to understand that a VSO is not an employee of the VA. They're an employee of the county. A lot of high turnover in that position. Those guys are on overload. Their job description is as long as your arm. A lot of turnover. So you may start talking with John, and John says he filed your claim, and you go back 6 weeks later or 8 weeks later, John's gone, and there sits Betty. And Betty has no idea what you're talking about. So families get very frustrated. We inherit a lot of VSO denials. A VSO will file your claim whether they know it's good or not. And the fact that a family is sitting there and the VSO files it, you can see how a family automatically makes the assumption, oh, I must have a good claim. They filed it. Not true. Not true. You get what you pay for. So if you financially hemorrhage for 9 or 12 months and you get a denial on the end, was that free? Nope, that cost you a whole lot of money and a whole lot of emotion and some financial trauma. Our average right now from filing the claim to award is, in all 3 pension centers, is running about 90 days. Most families can swing that. It's really hard for families to swing 9 to 12 months in money out the door to get a denial on the other end. So how do you get us? How do you refer? How do you hook us up? Now, guys, our job is to work quietly in the background on your behalf. We want to support you. Nothing drives us crazier than to get the mystery referral, because we don't know who to report back to. If it's your business, claim it, own it, keep it, let us work for you. The mystery family, we don't know who to update as far as who they're working with, how they got to us so that you know what's going on with this family. Are there dollars coming? Are there no dollars coming? What's the status? Keep control of your business, and we will circle our wagons around you and your business to support you in your business. But we got to know the referral is yours. Handing out our brochure or just giving our phone number out, very risky. Not only the $1 million question, are they going to really call? But guys, you've given them the opportunity to continue shopping for your services. when you can kind of shut them down and say, hey, I'm the one-stop shop, let's get all this done right here, right now, now you got them. Don't hand your business away. You've worked too hard for it. And we're going to work for you to keep your business. So don't just say, call these folks. Let us know to call them. Email us at info. Give us don't share anything HIPAA private. Name of the contact that you're working with, typically a next of kin. Who's the potential resident? All we need is a phone number and an email and your name and your company name. Because we're going to call this family and say, hey, Dina with Alterra said you might have an interest in learning about VA benefits and eligibility. Let's talk about this. After that phone call, I'm going to notify Dina what came out of that phone call. So Dina knows exactly where she stands with this family. Are there benefits coming? Are they not? So you know what kind of business you've got. You can go on to our Contact Us page and fill that information in. You can do that on your cell phone. Just always make sure you give us your name and company too, so that we can support you. Anytime you can use that third party, and everybody sounds like friends, and we've been doing this together for a long time, the more the family settles in with a comfort level with you. That's really important. So we're going to sound like your best friend. Any questions on the best way to get business to us?
Hi, Carol. This is Dina Shepherd. Thank you so much for all of this information you've shared with us thus far. I wanted to know if you could share the difference. There are organizations, one in particular that comes to mind, and what they offer, especially home care providers, is they will say, oh, you have a potential client that is a veteran. Sign up under us and we'll pay your agency. And we'll take care of everything behind the scenes. We'll pay you $16, $17 an hour for the care that they need starting immediately. And we'll handle everything else behind the scenes as far as getting their benefits. And you're pretty clear on how you differ, but what are some things if an agency is looking to compare your organization versus an organization like that? Can you give us maybe one or two pros or cons in going towards you guys versus going towards a entity like that?
Absolutely. I can actually tell you some of the experiences we've had with companies of the nature of which you speak, and how I can tell you from the family's point of view, which might really affect how you decide to do business. Groups that Dina's talking about, there's some legal issues there, but like I said, how the family feels about it is really important, because you kind of get sucked into a situation not of your making, but yet you're going to get the fallout of it. We've had families call us where, in order to access benefits, they have had to sign a contract allowing a company, let's call it a VA resource, allow them to auto debit their banking month over month over month. The individual who's actually delivering the care, the home care agency itself, is not auto debiting the account. the VA resource is. They're debiting the full amount of the benefit plus some, keeping a large percentage of the debit and paying the home care agency a significantly reduced rate. So if your rate is normally $22 an hour, and they're only going to pay you like $14. They also bill the family, I've heard, a minimum charge or a handling fee of $250 a month for nothing. Nothing. Here's where it gets crazy, is the evidence that goes into the VA has to have the affidavit from the actual caregiver. So if the caregiver, you're going to sign an affidavit saying, I'm the caregiver, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm charging. But actually, it's a false affidavit because the money isn't being paid to you. It's being auto-drafted to the VA resource. So when the family wants to get out of that arrangement, the VA resource, and if you think I'm kidding when I tell you this, threatens the family that they are going to turn the family into the VA for the false affidavit and have their benefits cut off. Now, who set that up? The VA resource did. They knew it was a false affidavit. But who are they angry at? They're angry at their caregivers because they can't make a change. They can't get more care. They can't get less care. They can't talk to anybody. And the caregiver, you guys are going, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how this happened. Because honestly, you don't know how it happened. But there's some real ethical issues there behind using some of the resources out there of that ilk. We inherit a lot of those. They're trying to get straight business done, and they get threatened. We've helped a lot of families get out of those contracts and go direct with their home care agency, increase what they pay them, and get more hours because the family has control of their benefit now versus someone else controlling their benefit and taking the money out via debit.
Thank you so much. That is wonderful. I think it's very important that we know the options because a lot of people are, of course, looking for the best way to be able to provide care and do things quickly. And I just think it is a money trap for the families, and it's a bad place to be as a home care owner because you are going into business genuinely with this organization and the organizations like the particular organization, and you're stuck in the middle. You're blind. You don't know what the background is really.
You are blind.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. And like I said, it backfires on you.
Exactly.
And you can get sucked into a legal issue that absolutely was not of your making at all. But yet, it's going to land in your lap.
Absolutely.
It's a little scary. You're also agreeing, typically, when you join one of those, we're going to assist you firms, you're also agreeing to do business at a significantly reduced rate. Now, they're keeping the rest of the money, just so you know. So if your normal rate is 22, they're not going to pay you $22 an hour. No. They're going to charge the family $22 to $25 an hour, and they're going to pay you $14. Well, how do you keep your doors open, your insurance paid, gas in your car, and your employees on the road for $11 an hour? You're going to take that on the chin. Eventually, it's going to catch up financially with your own business, which is a scary place to be. A lot of game playing in the VA world. A lot of game playing. It's unfortunate because who hurts is the veteran and typically the company who's trying, honestly, to deliver good care to them.
Right.
Those are the people that end up getting hurt. This is my information. If you need me for anything, my phone numbers, those are direct dials. If you want brochures, anybody right now can take my email address, pop me over an email, say I want some brochures, I want some collateral, I want some more information, or I want to talk to you personally. I'm always available to you. I'll carve time out. We'll have a one-on-one. I want you to be really comfortable in your skin. I want you to be really comfortable with who we are, how we function, how we stay in the law, how we protect you, how we are advocating for your family, and we're advocating for you. Follow us on Facebook. Breaking news on there, also humor. You can't have the VA doesn't have breaking news every day. But there's always updates on there on what's going on around the world. I have a LinkedIn page. You can link in with me. We urge communication, communication, communication. You just can't have enough.
All right, Carol, thank you so very much for this information. It has been wonderful, a wealth of good information that senior care providers, whether you're in home care, assisted living, or both, it's so important to make sure you have these resources for your families, for your clients, so that when they come to you, as Carol mentioned, you want to be that one-stop shop. You don't want your clients going to this home care provider, that home care provider, looking to put the pieces together. So you want to be able to have all of the tools in place. And certainly if you have a client that possibly would benefit from speaking with someone in regards to veterans benefits, Carol is definitely an excellent resource to contact. Veteran Benefits Aid and Counsel, excellent company, very, very helpful. And what I really appreciate about them is that they are really centered to each individual client. It's not a cookie cutter situation. They really are focused on the benefit and the outcome of the client, of the family. And that's the kind of business you want to do business with. It just helps build your reputation as an industry leader when you are linked with good, strong, positive resources. So I'm going to unmute everyone, and I want you all to take a couple minutes if you have any questions to ask those questions. Make sure you take down Carol's information. If for whatever reason you need to get her information, I definitely have it and can send it to you as well. So go ahead, feel free to announce your name and ask any questions that you may have.
I'm ready.
or Carol, that means you just did such a great job they don't have any questions.
Either that or they're trying to recover from drinking from the fire hose.
No questions. All right. Well, I guess, Carol, you did a phenomenal job. I'm going to tell you that. So I appreciate, again, your time this morning. I appreciate you all for attending and taking time out of your busy schedules as well to get this information. And I'll give you all a couple moments before we end this to make sure you take down Carol's information. And please make sure you utilize these positive benefits for any potential clients and families that you may need to help.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm available if anybody wants, a one-on-one or a little more clarity on a specific topic, or you have a specific situation you want to walk through and what that might look like. You want to talk a little bit more about how do I get a good referral in your hands? First of all, let me tell you, there's no such thing as a bad referral. So even if you're not sure, remember, we're not asking you to be pros here, okay? We're just asking you not to overlook this and make sure you get them into someone's hands that is going to shoot them straight and give them good legal information, what the law actually says about their situation, and then help them if they want to move forward. So if you want to talk about how to refer, how to grow your business, Dina's, oh my gosh, multi-talented on so many levels. She can help you. But when it comes to this little world, the VA world, if you want a one-on-one or just have a question, don't worry. Reach out. We'll get together. And we'll address whatever it is that's got you buffaloed. Because I want you to be comfortable.
All right. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, and make sure you reach out with any questions you may have for Carol and I, and we'll be more than happy to assist. If you have any business needs, I am available to assist you all. And again, any VA needs, make sure you reach out to Ms. Carol Dell. Carol, thank you so much again, and I appreciate you and look forward.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you and what you do.
No problem, my dear. All right, you all, we're going to end this wonderful webinar. The replay will be available for those that are interested. And again, you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.